Garth Brooks is one of the most commercially successful entertainers of all time, not just in country music, and he's speaking in a new interview with Billboard on a variety of different topics, throwing some shade at maybe one or two of his fellow country artists while also opening up about fatherhood and marriage. He admitted in this conversation that early on in his marriage, he wasn't a great father and he wasn't a great husband, and that at the time, he wouldn't have survived if social media had been readily available and accessible. There's a lot to get to, so stick around. Before we continue, if you love country music, for the latest news and updates about your favorite artists, be sure to hit that subscribe button with notifications on. Garth Brooks is opening up about fatherhood and his marriage in a new conversation with Billboard, admitting he wasn't always a great dad and what it took for him to turn things around. And he also seemingly threw some shade at some other country artists who own some bars in Nashville and their decision not to carry Bud Light amidst some backlash involving the brand. Speaking about his new bar, the Friends in Low Places Bar and Honky Tonk, Garth Brooks said, "I know this sounds corny. I want it to be the Chick-fil-A of honky tonks. I want it to be a place you feel safe in. I want it to be a place where you feel like there are manners and people like one another. And yes, we're going to serve every brand of beer. We just are. It's not our decision to make. One thing is this: if you're into this house, love one another. If you're an asshole, there are plenty of other places on Lower Broadway." It's worth noting that multiple other country artist-owned bars made the decision to no longer carry Bud Light at their establishment, with Brooks' comments appearing to be in response to that. Later in the conversation, Garth Brooks opened up about fatherhood and being a husband. He said he was horrible at both early in his career as it was beginning to take off. He said, "I sucked at being a husband. I was horrible at it. I was horrible at being a dad. I had to get my shit together." He went on to say if social media had been as prevalent back then as it is today, there's no way his career would have survived. He said, "I was on the front page of USA Today for being a bad husband, and man, I'd never have survived that if there had been social media, ever." Since that time, he's been married to Trisha Yearwood for nearly 2 decades, and the couple seems to have a very happy relationship. He said, "I will tell you this, the person you're with does make a huge difference in your life." Brooks was asked why he thinks his relationship has lasted so long, to which he replied, "Come on, you see why I'm in love with her." Brooks also hinted at possibly releasing a new rock album under his alter ego Chris Gaines, which was a controversial record, even though there are a number of people you might find that say they did enjoy that album. Garth Brooks' bar, the Friends in Low Places Bar and Honky Tonk, remains under construction in Nashville with an opening date not yet being announced. Much like a lot of the other places you will find in Nashville, it's likely you could expect Garth Brooks might occasionally make an appearance or even a performance at his establishment, and I'm sure the Friends in Low Places Honky Tonk will be quite the popular spot for locals and tourists alike down there in Nashville. That is your latest update from CountryCast. If you're new here, do us a favor and hit that subscribe button with notifications on so you don't miss the latest news and updates.